Hi everyone, I'm Felix, giving you geeky literature, and welcome to another video for today. And in today's video we will be ranking each Tennant and Gatwell episode, every episode that features David Tennant and Ncuti Gatwa in, because it seems like we are at the end of the road for Ncuti, obviously. So recently we've just had the last episode of Doctor Who, and we had that cliffhanger of Billie Piper being the Doctor, or being at the end of the regeneration. If she's the Doctor, who knows? But we'll find out in next year's Christmas special, with the episodes initialed LTD. No, TLD, sorry. What will that mean, I wonder? We will come back to that in another video that I will have coming very soon in January 2026. So yeah, as I said, because we're at this sort of stage where we don't really know what's happening, and it's the end of Ncuti Gatwa's run as the Doctor, I just thought that it would be really nice if we could have a look back at all of his and David Tennant's time on Doctor Who, and I can share my opinions with it, with those episodes with you, and yeah, just have a bit of fun with it and share my opinions with everyone and just have fun, really. So if this is something that you like the sound of, then please continue watching from here, and click that subscribe button down below, and click that like button, because it would I would really appreciate it. Okay, and away with the video. Allons-y, let's go. I will be now ranking all of the episodes that feature David Tennant's 14th Doctor and Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor, between the best, good, okay, interesting / mixed, and bad. And I just want to say that these are all my opinions. So for example, if I didn't like Space Babies and someone else out there did, then that's cool. Everyone is very much entitled to their own opinion, especially on this channel. So please keep that in mind when you're watching this video, and well, many other videos that I do. So we'll start off with the power of the Doctor. Yeah, I just want to say that yes, this one was just a short cameo, but this was the first moment that we saw David Tennant back as the Doctor, and personally this is one of my favourite 13th Doctor Jodie Whittaker episodes anyway, her last one. So and also I like it because it brings together all of these different characters from her era, and also different characters from the Doctor's past, not just the 13th Doctor's past. So you didn't just bring back Dan and Yaz, you also brought back people like the 5th Doctor and the 7th Doctor and Ace and Tegan, and also we saw a cameo from Mel that we'll be coming back to later, obviously. So because of that, I think, and also how in my opinion, how well Chris Chibnall wrote it and how he planned it out with each thing, with each character and monster, and how it all works. I think I'm going to put it in good for now, because obviously I can always come back and change my answers that I probably will do at the end, but I tried to make a tier list like this when it was Halloween, and basically it was too long, basically, so that's why I'm trying to make quick decisions now and then do messy things later. So the next one we've got is Star Beast. This one's another difficult one because this is his first adventure as the 14th Doctor, but also it's the first time that he sees Don Noble again, and he meets Rose Noble for the first time, and he meets the monsters from the Doctor Who comic, the Wrath Warriors and Beep the Meep. So I don't really know where I'm going to put it, but to be honest with me, I find that it's a very complex episode because there's lots of it going on and emotions and what have you. So I'm going to put it for me, I'm going to put it in mixed and interesting, because for me I would really put it in bad, but as I said, I'll probably move it towards bad towards the end, and I've only put it in interesting slash mixed because I've got mixed feelings on it, but it's a very interesting episode as well. So yeah. Then the next episode is Wild Blue Yonder. So this one's one of the first unique 14th Doctor ones, because this one is a new creation penned by Russell T Davies. So I reckon that I would probably put it in, best for me, in my opinion, and I reckon probably won't, but I probably reckon that's going to stay there because of how unique it is and how dark and twisted this story is, because of how restricted they are without being able to even think about things. They just have to work out how they got there and why is the robot going so slowly, why do the walls move, and why do these things take the Doctor and Donna's form. So that's why I like it, because it's very dark and twisted. You don't really know what's going to happen. Right, next you've got the giggle. With this one, I think at the moment, I'm going to put it up in good. And as I have been saying throughout the video, if I want to move and change any of these, then I will do. I would put it in the best, but because for me it was the best, but there was a few scenes that I vaguely remember that has swayed my opinion into a completely different direction. So for example, I really like the puppet scene, where we get to actually see these moments of the audience, us realising that this isn't the 10th Doctor, this is the 14th Doctor, a brand new incarnation of the 10th Doctor. So that's what I really like about it. I really like the whole quick action scenes with the Toymaker, and so when he's dancing and bullets turn into rose petals and balls, and people turn into massive balls. But also I quite like when he's on the ray gun. That's quite nice. But to be honest, the only thing that I don't like about this episode is probably the pacing, because I think that it goes, it's that mixture of quick and slow, where you want it to be neither. You want it to be the thing that goes down the middle, I think, personally. So that's one thing that I didn't like about it. And the second thing that I didn't really like about it was the scenes that we had where you were just thinking, can we just have more? Because, like, for example, when the Doctor and Donna rushed off, and unit staff and Kate, Lethbridge, Stewart ran after them, can't we just have more of that? I don't know if that's just my massive opinion, but I think it would be nice if we had more scenes in it, and also more emotional when talking to to where the Doctor talks to Donna scenes. So for example, like when they're in the shop and the Doctor says to Donna, go back into the TARDIS, and she goes, you never tell me to go back into the TARDIS. That sort of thing. I just wish that we had more of those. But other than that, I think it was a very good episode. It was a good episode for an introduction for Shooter Gatwell's 15th Doctor. But most of all, Patrick Harris just absolutely shined in the role of the Toymaker, and it's a very good continuation of the character's legacy from the 1960s to now. So now we've got The Church on Ruby Road. So this is the first episode of Series 1, and it's also the first ever RTD Christmas special. Pardon me. Again. Now this one, I feel a bit up and down again. So I'd probably put this with the Star Beast, but probably in front of the Star Beast, because I feel that this episode was better than the Star Beast. Okay, but I think that how can I explain it? Most of the episode, it lacked quite a lot for me. It lacked the hurry of it that most of the episodes had. It lacked the more serious Doctor Who type of episodes and monsters, where in this one we had goblins and we had a main plot point of missing babies and that sort of thing. For me, the only thing that was good was the end, like when he realised that Ruby didn't exist, and then he got really angry, and then he was sorting out the timeline, and that is when that started. That is the first step in the Ruby Sunday storyline of who is she, where is she, what happened here. So going on from that, I'm going to put her, if I just move that there, I'm just going to put that there. Yeah, but as I keep saying, if I maybe Church for Ruby Road could go over there instead of Power of the Doctor being where that is, then I would very much do that. And where you'd rank these episodes and what your opinions of these episodes are as well in the comments down below. Thank you. So next we've got Space Babies. Now, Space Babies, I would put it in okay, but that's just being kind, because I would put it in okay for only one reason, and that the Doctor at the end lets the bogeyman free and tries to save him, and that was genius writing. That was, especially for the Doctor, it's like something the Doctor would do, and especially at the beginning part of the episode where he gives the Doctor he gives Ruby Sunday a key to the TARDIS. But other than that, really, I just seem like, what's the point? It is an episode that I think I would return to and watch again, but it's not one that I would choose to watch. So for example, I would skip this episode and go on to Devil's Call and then start from there, or start from out of these ones. I'll start out of Power of the Doctor and then miss Space Babies and then carry on from there. So I know it might not be a great thing to do, but I'm going to put this one in bad. Okay. Now, as I was saying earlier about the Devil's Cord, this is the next episode. So we've got the Devil's Cord. Now, the Devil's Cord for me is a very good introduction episode for their first episode into a different time, and it shows us how they interact within this environment. That's interesting. And also they get to meet the Beatles, that probably anyone, especially myself, would absolutely love to do. But I think it's a very good episode, especially with the inclusion of the cameos with Shirley Ballas and Johannes Rabba, or sorry if I butchered his surname, but Johannes from Strictly. So that was quite nice, and to be honest, most of it was really good. But I think that the only thing, and it's me just being really picky, is that the Beatles saved the day at the end of the day. And it's a very, very good episode. But that's why I'm going to put it in okay, I think. And I'll probably move it again. But if I feel like it should stay there, then it should stay there. But otherwise, it's a very good episode, because they get to meet the Beatles, they meet Maestro, that's the daughter of the toy maker. That's a fantastic creation by the one, the only RTD. So I think I'll leave it there, and if I have to decide to change it again, to move it, it would either go in good or stay in okay, but we'll come back to that. Okay, so next we've got actually probably one of my favourite New Who 2, I like to call it New Who 2 episodes, Boom. Now, I'm not going to keep waffling on, as I have been, but I'm just going to give you 3 things why I love this episode. One, at the end, it's a section of a Philip Larkin poem, and obviously if you're part of the channel already, or even if you haven't come across my channel yet, I love poetry. I absolutely adore it. So basically, this episode was just great. And also, when I watched it the first time, I said to myself, that would make a really good poem, and then I looked it up and found out that it was a poem by Philip Larkin, and it's a really good poem, and that really fits in with the theme of the story and the theme of the world that they've created, so that's good, I think. So that's number 1. Number 2 was the whole concept as a whole, that was the Doctor is powerless because he hasn't got a screwdriver. Well, he has, it's probably in his pocket, but he hasn't got it on him. He hasn't got the TARDIS because it's miles and miles away on that planet, and it's just him and Ruby, but he is stuck on a landmine, bit like an episode that they did back in the Tom Baker era, when the 4th Doctor was also stuck on the landmine. But what I'm trying to say is the theme of it is so intense that it's a bit like While Blue Yonder it's an action-packed thriller story where you're waiting and hearing those ticks going down and down and down, and you're sort of thinking, what's going to happen next? So that's the second thing that I wanted to say. And finally, the third thing, well, that's kind of 2.5 and 3 at the same time, is I really liked the involvement of religiousness within the story, but and how involved that every character is with this particular theme of religiousness. And to be honest, I'm religious as well, but it's quite I'm not that religious, so like I'll do your rarely prayer and go to your rarely church session, but that's it really. But I am quite religious, and I think that everyone should have a second chance, and that everyone should feel some sort of love, whatever form that is, and that sort of thing. So really, this story felt came deep into my heart. So the meanings of war and the religiousness and being trapped on the landmine was just beautiful as well, and how the poem religiousness and the loss and grief of someone, even though they're just there in front of you as the hologram was of that soldier, was just so beautifully written for me. So on that note, I'm going to put Boom up in the best. Right, now we're on to 73 yards. Now for me, 73 yards was an episode that very much reminded me of the Torchwood episode, Countryside, but spelt as countryside, as country suicide. That's how it was spelled. And I quite liked the idea of a woman that followed you 73 yards apart. So that's quite nice, and that this was kind of like, what would the world be in the future? Who will be Prime Minister? And the decisions we make with this being that follows us 73 yards apart can affect us. So yeah, but again, I'll give you 3 things that I liked about it. The first thing that I liked was the end scene, where it wraps up and we find out that Ruby was actually the woman all along. I thought that was cleverly written by Davis. Now the second one was the whole vibe of the episode from start to finish. It just felt creepy and eerie, non-stop, continuously. Then number 3 was the actors. So we had quite a few famous actors in this. So we had Sean Williams in this. Obviously we had Millie Gibson in it. We had a short amount of the Doctor in it. and we also had the woman from Countryside, the Torchwood episode. It was quite nice. That nice Hooniverse connection. But yeah, but also I just like this whole mystery behind it, and also the frustration that Millie has of how close it gets to her every time, and also how upset it makes her, because it makes her own mum forget who she is. So actually I think I would probably put this in either good or the best. I think I'm going to put it in good, because it's a very good episode, but I just can't make up my mind with that at the moment. I will probably put it in the best at some stage, but I want to do the rest of them first, so then I can have a proper think and fiddle about it. So the next episode is Dawson Bubble. Now this one, Dawson Bubble, was an episode for me where, again, like one of the other ones that I've said about, it was very confusing, because you had this girl that was not trapped really, but you know, in a world where there's all young white people, and she has the bubble around her, and she talks to people on that. So my three things I would say about it, good, bad, whatever, is the good bit was the end. And also that was Ncuti's first ever performance as the 15th Doctor, that I personally can't believe, because it was just so good and so raw, in my opinion. So that's a good thing. Even though obviously it's not a nice thing, but the themes of a slow building sense of racism from beginning to end, and then sort of like the end was the explosion aftermath of this outburst, this occurrence that occurred, I thought was very, very well written, and very brave actually for Russell T Davies to write. And the third thing I want to say was that I didn't really enjoy the silly moments, where she was cleaning her teeth with her finger, and she was phoning people and watching them being killed, and all those sort of things. But however, I did like, again, towards the end, where Ricky September was bashing the camera ball thing, whatever it's called, away so he can try and escape. But Lindy had escaped first, so I liked that. But I did quite like when she first met Ricky September in the flesh. That was quite a nice thing for the characters, but also for the audience, so we can sort of, I suppose, get in the mind of Lindy and meet this character, this persona, this person that she's fantasized about being close to for so long. So for that, actually, I'm probably, because most of it was really good, but some of it was quite cheesy and not so great anyway, so I'm going to put that in either good or okay. For now I'm going to put it in okay with The Devil's Cause, but then as I say, they're both great episodes, and it's not got anything to do with the quality of the episode. Pardon me. It's just what I feel, and then I'll have a feel about it later on. So the next episode that we will be looking at is Rogue. Now, before I say anything, I will just have to do this. But yeah, so Rogue for me was a very impressive episode from a pair of writers that have never worked on Doctor Who before, Kate Briney and Briney Redford, or whatever. Sorry, watching your name if I have, ruining them. But I thought that, like the episode Dot and Bubble, this was impressive because it had just thought in mind and it achieved it. So, for example, the scene where Jonathan Groff's Rogue and the Doctor were dancing, obviously at that time in the 17th century or 16th century or whenever it is, they wouldn't have seen something like that. They wouldn't have seen two men dancing on the dance floor in a big wide event. So that was really good. The monsters themselves, I think personally, is one of the best monsters come out of this new era that has unfortunately recently ended. And I say one of because later on we'll come on to the other ones that I thought were the best ones. But yeah, their bird-like performance and looks look really impressive and cool, and especially how each bird had their own individual appearance. That was quite nice, and how they can also kill people by touching them on the shoulder, and then they burn up into a skeleton. That's quite nice CGI, and in the narrative itself. I didn't like the scene where it zooms into the picture of Susan Twist, but I think that's only because I keep missing it, and then when it goes, like, it pans round really slowly, I quickly see it in the last few seconds. So yes, I really liked that episode because of the difference that it brought with the characters, the writing, but I really liked the feel to it. So it was really old-fashioned storyline and environment, but also I really liked it because of the monsters and also how things connected, and also that sweet ending where Rogue sacrificed himself to save Ruby for the Doctor. That I thought that was really nice. So that's going there. And then next up we've got The Legend of Ruby Sunday, the first part of the two-parter of season 1, two-part finale, sorry. Now this one, I never really remember which way round I like it or not, if I liked Legend of Ruby Sunday better or if I liked Emperor of Death better. But if I can remember it correctly, I believe that it was this one, because this is the bit where we find out that Sutek has returned, and then the sandstorm is coming into to Earth and to the unit tower, to in front of Kate and the rest of them. So I'm going to say that this one is going to be put in good, because personally I think that this one found more answers for things and was more dramatic and cinematic than Emperor of Death was. So for example, when they are in the containment area in the unit tower and they're being shown the VHS tape of when Ruby was left at the church by her mum, I just thought, and it was snowing, I thought that was so clever and so pretty. So that's where I'm going to put it. That's going good. We're leaving that for now. Third to final one for now before we move on to season 2 is the Empire of Death. As I was saying, the Empire of Death is my least preferred part of the two-parter, and that is because of the sense of bringing it back, because they bring back all these characters that we were teased from the previous episode that they were going to die. So Susan Twist and I can't think of her name. Kate Lethbridge Stewart and all those different characters. I would like to say though, with this one and also Legends of Ruby Sunday, I like how Mel has turned herself into one of Sutek's guards and minions, with her face going all zombie-like and wrinkly. I liked that, and her eyes going a bright blue colour. So that was quite cool. So I don't really have much good to say about this episode, to be honest, except the whole Mel thing. I quite like how at the end of the episode we find out who her mum is, and we hear about the Doctor finding or wanting to find Susan. That was really nice, but it did disappoint me that the reveal of her mum was built up so much to be someone unique that we know. So it could have been the Rani that will come to at some point later on in the video. It could have been Rani Chandra. It could have been Joe Grant. It could have been anyone. But no, it was just a normal woman. Personally nowadays, with the most recent episodes, including the finale of season 2, I thought it was quite a nice fit to have her there, even though we don't really know who she is, but at the time of this I was still quite confused and frustrated. So I think I'm going to put this episode in interesting / mix, because it has very good parts, including the end, and some in the middle, especially the whole what's it called? Sorry, the Remember TARDIS parts in it. So yeah, I will have a look at that. So now we've come on to the last and second so far Doctor Who Christmas special of RTD2, Joy to the World, and this one was penned and written by Stephen Moffat. The companion was played by Nicola Coughlan, and obviously the Doctor was Ncuti Gatwa. Now, with this one, I think it was impressive, because even though, as a previous comment of mine was, it has lots and lots and lots, it feels right, because it's all in stages, and it's all like a metronome, if you know what I mean. So it's all like a metronome ticking along, tick, 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 one by one, and that is because what I mean by that is you start off by introducing us to the new companion for the episode. Then we see the hotel with the Doctor in, pardon me, and then we start seeing things happen. But that's one thing quickly happening, but one by one, not lots of things scrambling trying to find answers to happen in 1 second. I think this is a very good Christmas special. It was an interesting one in a magic hotel, basically, and I like seeing all of the rooms and how the Doctor and, sorry, I've got her name now. If you remember her name, then please comment it down below. But the Doctor and Nicola Coughlan's character found all these rooms and what they can do in all these rooms to help the current situation within the hotel and Earth, that sort of thing. I quite liked that we had the return of the Silurians, because they haven't been around since Matt Smith's era, I want to say. So either way, if I'm wrong or right about the Silurians, okay, it was a very good episode, and I liked that there was two versions of the same Doctor. Yeah, I don't think I've got much to say about it. I like that he had to wait because he was stuck with the manager that worked at the Time Hotel, Anita. So I'm going to put this. I'm actually going to put it in great, in the best, to be honest. And as I said, and I keep saying, I can always change and move around, but at the moment, so far, I'm quite happy. Now,